Hi, everybody. This is Justin back with I'm Your Aid Astrology for another weekly update. Thanks again for tuning in. I am in a fantastic mood. Taurus season tends to do that to me because I'm a Taurus. And I'm just coming off a really awesome birthday. Since this is an educational channel, let me tell you how a Taurus celebrates his birthday. That is to start the day with a huge continental breakfast of champions, if you will. Pancakes, eggs Benedict, coffee. And then my fiance and I went on almost a 7-mile hike. Beautiful out in nature, fantastic. And then to replenish ourselves, all you can eat sushi while watching The Hobbit, which is also a very Taurian movie, and ended strong with some ice cream. So welcome back, everybody. Like I said, I'm Your Aid Astrology. We have a really big week ahead of us. What else is new? I've been, looking over the astrology week over week, trying to see some daylight, which I do see kind of starting in May, but we have this Venus retrograde coming up upon us and the shift in the nodes. That's going to be a whole nother video. I can't even tap into that right now. I ended my last weekly update with a little bit of Uranus conjunct the Sun talk. But since this is going to be another big theme for our week ahead, I wanted to kind of just recap. In my last video, I gave you my own personal examples in my life, how Uranus and Taurus in conjunct my sun has been affecting me in my life because I've had it conjunct my natal sun for the last year. But again, it's very Uranus is rebellious, nonconformity, requires freedom, expansion. It's sudden shock, change. Uranus is our course corrector. If we are not aligned with our authenticity or our soul contract, it will shake us free, bring us to a much different place. This could be unexpected breaks with authority, breaks with relationships, unexpected new relationships may come into play. And I will show you how that's going to show up for us on a personal level. And here we go. So to start the week, we have Mercury leaving Aries and moving into Taurus. So just a reminder, Mercury in Aries thinks at the rate of its thoughts. It'll interrupt you. It's very abrasive, bold, very abrupt speech. They kind of tell it how it is. They kind of say things before they think. And I think, like I said in the last video, this is kind of like a backlog from all the Mercury conjunct Neptune energy that we've been dealing with, coming up to this point. So I think, we might have seen some of this in our lives. So luckily, I have Mercury in Taurus, so I feel like the communication's a little softer. And the reason for that is, unlike Aries, Mercury in Taurus actually thinks in contemplation before they speak, even in conflict. So all these squares recently in the last few weeks has brought to light my conflict resolution with my partner and fiance. And she wants to, settle everything right then and there and talk this out. And I need to gracefully bow out of the situation. I need to go on a walk. I need to go to the gym. I need to think about everything that was just communicated. I can't just process it. I mean, I do have faculties to process it quickly, but I want to be very careful how I respond. And I need that extra time to do that. So I could come at things from a 40,000 foot view and a higher level. Mercury and Taurus, people tend to repeat themselves. I try not to do that. I think it's more about just really hitting home our point. Typically good speakers kind of do that, just so they can understand the audience is grasping materials. Not only do we take a while to respond, a Mercury in Taurus gives a lot of energy before making a decision. It's not really a knee-jerk decision like Aries would make. They don't look before they leap. Um, uh, Tauruses do. I mentioned the example of my home purchase and going through these contractors. I don't just take a bid from the first contractor I meet with. I want 10 bids on this, 10 bids on that. Um, Tauruses are really methodical with their money, and they don't spend it foolishly unless you're poorly aspected. So, this is more reflective in all things when it deals with communication and speech. Tauruses have a beautiful voice. People have said that I have a, quote, radio voice. To be very poetic with their words. Since this is kind of an energy of the teacher, they're great listeners. Obviously, when I give readings, I fully give my attention to their intention, and I use that to frame my experience with other people. Tauruses are very granular in detail. So I've been getting a lot of loan documents, and I've never bought a home before. I don't really know what I'm doing in that regard, but I've caught 5, 6, 7, 8 errors from the loan processing people, and not even knowing what I'm looking at, I could detect things, um, probably kind of in a Virgoan way. Again, Mercury and Taurus are good public speakers, and are good teachers, or known to be good teachers, or have it in them to be a teacher. So that's why I make this channel very educational. I just don't talk about the planets. I break them down so you guys could take something away from this. And the idea is for you guys to get really familiar with your own charts, and for you to kind of be, use predictive and electional astrology in the future to kind of forecast for yourself. I think the more that humanity understands their soul contract, i.e., their charts, the more empowerment can be gained from it. So also coming into play, it's my not so much favorite aspect, and that's Venus square Neptune. So I unfortunately have a lot of experience with this. So when we talk about Venus, we're talking about relationships in all forms: personal relationships, friendships, intimate relationships, business relationships. Venus also rules our finances and to some degree social groups as well. And then, we're talking about Neptune. Neptune is creativity. It's passion, compassion. It's rose-colored glasses. When Venus and Neptune are together in a harmonious aspect, it is like a very clandestine love. It's the merging of souls. And me and my fiance kind of met with that energy. We call our love for each other smush, because we smush into each other. That's a really good example of Venus and Neptune. But unfortunately, we're seeing this in a square. So this is a conflict. Squares are delays, tension. So you kind of think the opposite. So Venus square Neptune is, seeing what you want to see in relationships. Having rose-colored glasses. It's the traditional love is blind energy. I had some of that energy when I had Uranus going through my 7th house. I had some very awful partnerships, and I just pick and chose what to see that was good, and I was neglecting all the bad stuff. Very difficult time in my life. I'm glad that's over. It's deception. It's illusion. It could be financial deception, relationships, like your partner, breaking up with you and clearing out your bank account. Undermining in work situations in particular. Since when Neptune is like considered transition in dealing with Venus and financial, It's financial losses. And since we're talking about, a big part of this conversation is the um, Sun and Uranus and Mercury moving into a conjunction with this party towards the end of the week. This is like sudden, these are unexpected things. This is sudden losses, sudden breaks, sudden financial losses, um, uh, sudden and breaks with authority, because we have, a little connective tissue, a wider square with Saturn still in play. Um, and pay attention to where these planets are in your charts to understand what the theme is. So for example, I have this little party going on in my 10th and 7th house. um, so I might have some unfortunate twists and turns in my work relationships. I might have a financial loss, or maybe a customer will cancel an account with me or something like that. I've kind of tired of going through stuff with that with work. I've had just the perfect storm of stuff over the last couple of years. Just giving you an example of how this could show up into your life. And then, again, a greater part of the conversation is we have, Mercury now going to be in a square with Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn. So, and it will be conjunct Uranus and the Sun. So again, that's, unexpected breaks in relationships, unexpected deception, maybe some rumors. What I've noticed is a lot of people, we'll call it the truth community, have been sharing a lot of knowledge that goes against the mainstream. And I've been chatting with a lot of my Facebook friends. And I have had people come out of the woodwork that I haven't talked to since grade school. Friends of friends. From a Seinfeld perspective, it's like friend-in-laws. It's like your friends, partners, people I don't even dialogue with or haven't dialogue with in age, over 20 something years. They're coming out of the woodwork and being really critical and judgmental, and in some ways kind of overreactive and harsh. When regards to my point of view, I've been posting, I guess what the mainstream would call controversial, but my rights to speak on what's going on in the world in regards to, taking away free speech and some of our civil liberties and rights. And people are suggesting I'm spinning harmful information, and I have the right to speak it. And I guess with this Venus square Neptune is you're going to find out who your friends are. Like maybe you've just had rose-colored glasses with some of these people in your social circles, and now that you have information that kind of conflicts theirs, they're kind of showing their true colors. I have had some even friends of mine that have posted really strong things like, for those of you that think anything different than the mainstream media, F you. And I just defriended those people. Like I don't need that kind of ignorance in my life. So I feel like this conversation with Mercury is going to be like the after effects of some of these sudden breaks in relationships, breaks with authority. I mean, hell, people are rebelling against themselves right now. It's the Santa Claus effect. It's coming to grips that something you believe so strongly is real or isn't what you thought it was. So Mercury and Pluto could be very obsessive thinking, fear, worry. So maybe you had a Venus square your 10th and 7th house, and you have some financial losses now. And now you're obsessing over your fear, you're worrying, not because it's not something you can't overcome, it's because of the state of the world. Oh my God, can I find another job that pays me the same? Mercury's conversation with Jupiter is it kind of overreacts. It's over promises. It overextends itself. Um, it exaggerates. It has an ego. And then with Saturn, it's kind of negative minded. It's really serious, cold, criticism, judgment. So again, this is all part of the bigger conversation we're seeing in the charts. And speaking of the charts, here is the chart of the moment. So here we have right here, we have the sun, Uranus. Uranus looks like the Starship Enterprise for those of you new to astrology. Mercury is kind of mischievous. That why it has little horns. So that's not a good combination, right? And it's on our sun. It's our will, our drive, who we are. So we're having this conflicting conversation. Mercury in particular touching Jupiter and Pluto. Here is Neptune. Here's Venus with the moon. So, even more trickster energy with Gemini. They have kind of like two personalities. Poorly aspected, it can be kind of two-faced. So we're seeing a lot of deceptive energy here in the charts. And we're talking about Venus and Neptune. There's always a reason for things. Again, this isn't fun energy to deal with. And I'll get back to my classic wing clippers versus wing fluffers in your life. Wing fluffers are the friendships that build you up, and they come to your aid in your darkest hour. They're encouraging, they're uplifting, they have your back. Wing clippers, they hold you back, they bring you down, they undermine you. In Uranus, in a lot of ways, it's the course corrector. So maybe these people are just not your jam anymore. And Uranus is going to create a little conflict, shake things up a little bit, and make room. I've been working with several people that have been, in transition of some difficult relationships. And I told them to take notice. Like, once you make space, once you clean out, think about this as spring cleaning out your closet. You can't receive something unless you make space for it. It's like if this cup was filled with water and I pour water on it, it's just going to overflow. You have to make room to refill your cup. And I think right now, with the nodes shifting soon, we need to make space. You can't bring your garbage, you can't bring the past or old trauma into the gates of heaven. Destiny's at our door. Destiny's changing for all of us, and we can't bring our old baggage in with us. It's only for the select few, or those that are in alignment with your vibration. So I guess my advice to everyone this week is whatever shakes up in your life, whatever leaves, it might suck, but it ultimately is for your highest and greatest good. And try to come from a place of non-attachment. I know we're in scary times, so a loss of a friendship, loss of a job, loss of anything right now is extra scary. But you don't want to give into that energy. The thing with squares is that you could always overcome a square and make it a circle. So these challenges are placed in your life for a reason, to get you over the hump. And, I've been talking about my last few videos, like, are you going to, with the Pluto-Jupiter conjunction, are you going to fall in the reality of fear, or are you going to fall into the reality of faith? Pluto is retrograde, so there's some deep internal healing that's being done. And Pluto right now is there to support that. Maybe it's been overdue for these people, situations, constructs. Maybe it was for a purpose, for a time, to teach you things. Maybe it was some armor. But now you've kind of outgrown your shell, and to move forward. So again, whatever comes up this week, just give it grace, give it love. If there is there is harsh words brought your direction, if there is some lying and deceit, understand that's that person's own insecurity and projection. And don't take it personally. Just, just send them energy with ease and consciousness. Thank them for the lesson, and know that it's all happening in divine order just to make room for something better in your lives. What is happening right now this week, pay close attention to it. This is going to be, think of it like a movie. It's the trailer to what Venus retrograde is going to be for all of us. So, with the energies to our disposal, we could have a heavy hand in the ending. So it's really, I'm a life is kind of fated type of person. Our free will is our point of view. So some of you could look at this week and be like, wow, this is a tragedy. Or some of you could go through this week or this upcoming Venus retrograde period and say, you know what? This is one of my greatest success stories. It's all in your point of view. Thank you, all of you, for joining I'm Your Aid Astrology. I'm Justin. I'm not your coach. I'm not your guru. I'm not your guide. I'm your aid. I'm your angel in disguise. I help you, empower you.